y'all know I have a daughter and then my wife, and so I have two women in the household, and how I handle my anger is valuable in this season of my life. Mm-hmm. But if I had dealt with it on the front end of things when I was single, it would have helped a lot more now that I'm married.
You're now listening to The Real.
Man, I appreciate them dudes for talking about
The Raw. Wait, they were talking about The Relatable.
That's exactly what I've been going through.
The Relentlessly Real Podcast.
Welcome to the Relentlessly Real Podcast, where we discuss real, raw, relatable topics. Thank you for taking time to listen to our podcast today. Let's kick this off with some introductions. My name is Jon.
My name's Mike.
And I am Terrence.
And of course, we got our boy with us one last time, Mr. Antonio.
It's me.
What up, man? I'm super glad that we're all back to talk about marriage again. But before we even dive into the topic today, like, how are y'all feeling? Like, what's going on with y'all lives? Y'all good? Let's start with Antonio, since this is the last day. Man, we're gonna have to have you back on here again for sure.
It's been good being here.
Yeah, man. So what's been going on with your life? What's up with your wife and all that?
Life is good. Wife is good.
Yeah.
Everything's good. No complaints at the current moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amen. All right, T.
School year is officially set in. So got some suspensions under my belt.
Oh man,
dang, already. Hate to do it, but unfortunately, some kids you gotta go.
It's like the second. Well, I don't know how long.
It's the second month of school.
That's second month. Oh, okay. That's good. That's success for Baltimore.
Yeah, here we go again.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
There was not a single student. I did not have to suspend a single kid in the month of September. So.
Congratulations.
That's amazing. That's actually amazing.
Congratulations.
I didn't know that would be a stat.
Listen, like, as much as the ultimate goal is if they suspended, they're missing times from the classroom. So you don't want them missing time from the classroom.
Got you.
That's good. That's good. Perspective.
Yeah. And what's up with you, Mike?
Everything good, man. I'm actually getting into, I guess, working out more. I'm starting to run more again. Me and my wife, we starting to work out a little bit more.
Especially y'all run together?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes we work out together. Sometimes we do individual, but as far as just being consistent with that's what we're trying to do, especially with it getting colder.
Yeah.
I went out and ran this week, but as the temperatures drop, man, I'm gonna have to figure out something. Got this gym built in the basement, so we about to go ahead and put that thing to work. So
got you. So are you going to get a membership at Planet Fitness or?
Nah, that's dead. Never again.
Yo, I swear I'm with Planet Fitness. They ain't seen me in months, bro. I was going and I was like, yo, I'm gonna get myself together. My body gonna be right.
Getting your little $10.
And next thing you know, man, I was like, I looked at my accounts. I gotta stop paying these people. Yeah. To have this account,
or just go,
or I should go.
Just go.
So with us, we were paying like the $10 fee or whatever that for like months. It came down to like 8 months we ain't been there, and I'm like, dog, that's money I could have put into my own gym. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so
true,
I was
true,
like,
true.
nah, I gotta shut this down. So
yeah. I need to figure it out because I was like, I need to either go, John, figure out when you're gonna go, or tell them. Take my card off or whatever you have.
Yeah, you realize that they're 24 hours, right? Just a thought.
I know, but I be busy. Okay. So anyway, with my life right now, I've been busy. Like, it's been crazy. And I'm trying to get my stuff straight for like my real estate stuff straight. And my daughter's birthday was yesterday. I'm super excited. So today is Saturday and we're going to go celebrate her. She turns 2 years old.
Hey.
So shout out to my daughter, Jocelyn. I'm excited about that, man. Being a dad is an amazing thing. And I think that. What you got to say, T?
I'm not
because you rolled your eyes. You rolled your eyes when you
know how I feel about Jocelyn right now, and you know how I feel about London right now.
My daughter has nothing to do with your personal life.
Blockers.
Kids are a little tough to deal with.
We talked about that on the last episode.
The last podcast we definitely got into
blockers.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, man, everything's been going pretty good. Pretty much, we're going to just go ahead and jump right into the trending topic. So, Mike, what's the trending topic for today?
Trending topic for today is Kanye West and his new album, Jesus is King. How y'all feel about that, John?
Did you listen? Did y'all listen to it?
Yeah,
Did you listen?
No. I've listened to the whole album.
You didn't listen to it at all, Tony?
No.
Dang.
Is that on purpose?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Not really, but...
Whatever.
So, you're just saying, like, I have no intentions of making sure that happens. You're not going to rectify it. You're just... No.
Nothing's driving me to go listen to it.
So
Okay.
I've listened to it, and all right. So there's been a lot of controversy, right, on the medias, on social media, whatever. As far as, I guess, authenticity, is he doing this for real? Is he really changed? You know, that sort of thing. And I think it's kind of interesting that it's not just coming from people. Well, I don't know people's backgrounds as far as Christians, but I know mainly with the Christian community, they're coming at him hard, man. And it's kind of messed up that they can't see like anybody can be changed, right? At the end of the day. So if he decides to, you know, do this complete 180 and just be, you know, on fire for God, then okay, let him do that. Especially after listening to the album, I personally think there was authenticity there through the music, and regardless of whether it wasn't, say if I can't see like his heart, only God can see his heart, and regardless, like God's still going to be able to get glory out of it just because of like just Jesus was all up and through that thing. So, but some controversy points that I wanted to point out was like, all right, even after listening to the album, I'm more so concerned about like the battle that he has going on with EMI Publishing. So basically what's happening is he's in a contract agreement to make music for forever, basically.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. So contract basically states that he can't retire, and he basically has to make music forever.
Who? Okay.
Yeah.
Who signed that contract?
Right.
Like,
I mean,
who read one? Before who signed? Who read the contract?
Right, for him.
You got lawyers.
Right.
You got. And you telling me you signed a contract where you're going to be making songs for the rest of your life?
Like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
I don't even want to hear Kanye's song after he's like 45. I'm good.
And even after going through I guess, I forget what the documentation is where they submit to be able to go through the courts and everything like that, go to trial, whatever. A lot of it has been redacted, but from what I gathered from it is like, that's basically what it's about. And he's trying to fight that jump. So I look at it as, okay, even with that, it could be two-sided. He can actually be like complete 180, really trying to, shed light on Christianity in general and like just praise God through his music. Or this could be another venue for him to be able to make money. Another thing to keep in mind is that his clothing line came out.
Right.
I checked this website, and a lot of the clothes that he has is kind of, it makes you kind of tilt your head like, okay, is this really authentic? Because the way the clothes were designed, and I wish I had some pictures with me, but I'll show y'all a little later. The way the clothes are designed is kind of like, it has Jesus in it, but it also has like his name on it. So it's like,
Oh yeah, I saw the one
Yeah.
he has on. So Jesus is King, and then
Right.
Kanye on the side.
Right.
It's like blue and gold or something.
like a
or purple and gold or something.
Kanye West featuring Katy Perry type
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. And then like even thinking about like past quotes and stuff that he's done, whether it's, things that he said about, him being a Trump supporter or, the idea of like slavery being a choice and everything like that. These are the things that people are thinking about. And it's like, dog, like now you want to do Christianity? It was like, but my opinion is like, why not? Like even in spite of all of that crap, like why not? Why can't he?
Yeah.
Here's
Go ahead, T.
so first of all, his clothing line is trash.
Well,
His clothing line has always been trash.
so you
in
have
my
some of his
opinion.
garments at your house?
No, I would never purchase that trash.
Them Jones literally look like
And they're
garments.
expensive too, by the way.
They are.
right?
You're pretty much paying $300 for
A fabric.
a piece of trash, like a trash bag.
You really feel bad about it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And here's the thing, and I listen to the album.
Yeah.
As I always think about Kanye, musically he's a genius. Like production quality, like with Kanye, Justin Timberlake, Beyonce are like normally like they're just
I'm a push back on Justin Timberlake, but go ahead.
production quality. Like
Okay,
the,
okay.
like
Because that last Man in the Woods jump
that
was
Man in the Woods was trash.
Okay.
Man in the Woods was trash.
Okay.
But the ones before that were like complete. Like,
Okay.
Makes sense. So the quality of the music that you're getting is always stellar to none, right? If you saw that Beyonce concert, like it was just the one that's on Netflix is just like amazing. Yeah. However, when it comes to in my opinion of gospel music or music that is meant to talk about like the Christian faith, the message is sometimes not as important as the messenger, because you have to be able to get that message across. And I feel like because of everything, and some of it you have to take with a grain of salt. Kanye, you put yourself out there to counter everything you're about to say.
Yes.
And so that's my issue. Like where he could be authentic. He could be totally authentic right now. Like you're saying, he could be totally like really converted. But you can't knock people for not trusting you because of everything you've done beforehand.
Yes.
And so that's the ultimate problem, which is why I'm like, I'm on the fence, because if you are authentic, first of all, who am I? I'm nobody to judge if you are or you're not. Doesn't really like make sense. Like I'm that mature where wherever my opinions of who you are, it doesn't touch your faith anyway.
Yeah.
So Kanye, you could be authentic. Cool. Keep it, makes sense. Then you keep doing it because you're authentic. Makes sense. But on the flip side, I'm like, you can't be, blacks or modern day slavery and pro Trump and this. Because if Trump dropped the album right now, or Trump dropped something right now where he's like, oh, I'm going to switch to the Democrat side, people be like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know what it's not, because you've done so much, in the public eye that it kind of overshadows it. So, not to mention that I thought lyrically it was not the best. It was also like not the best Kanye. Like it was just not that great.
I liked the presentation. My favorite one was closed on Chick-fil-A. Something about closed on Sunday. That's the name of the track.
Yeah.
But he says closed on Sunday, like something Chick-fil-A, and it was just like, okay, I'm gonna rock with you.
That's cute.
I'm gonna rock with you. He said, like, one of the things he said was, "You're my number one with the lemonade," and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I'm a ride it with you, Kanye. I'm gonna do my best, bro. But I think the best synopsis that I've seen was I follow, and he's one of our frat brothers too, actually, Mike Kelsey.
Okay,
and he actually stated it the best, where he said, first of all, when someone's recently converted, you don't run after them to be the leader of the pack, right? So if they're recently converted, they're a babe in Christ. They're a babe in being a believer. So you don't, as you would my daughter, my 2-year-old daughter, I don't give her, now that she's 2, I don't say, okay, hey, here are the keys to my car, you can go drive it now, right? Like, I mean, you just, you tailor things to the age bracket that she's within, right? So she can go play with some blocks, but you can't have dad's keys and go drive. And I feel like when he was converted to be a believer, fine, but spend your time to understand what the Christian faith is all about, understand what Jesus is all about, and I would not, at this point in his understanding of conversion, I would not go and put an album out about being a believer, because the Bible speaks often about, like, you will know them believers by their fruit. And I feel like your fruit should show, like, well before an album's done, there should be other things that have led us credibly towards the idea that he's a Christian and a believer before an album ever came to the fruition. You know what I'm saying?
He just drop an album like last year? I thought he just dropped the album like it was like last year or the year before that, because he was in the desert working on the album. It was like 7 tracks. He just dropped the album that not long ago. It was like 7 tracks. Yeah. So I counter that to say, like, I mean another popular icon was Justin Bieber, who I guess converted or not converted, but I remember his conversion was a lot different because he didn't put out an album. I remember he went to some kind of big Christian concert and he did praise and worship.
Yeah, I remember.
But I thought he was invited to. He didn't volunteer.
Yeah.
They asked him to. So he started going to these. And I could be wrong, so somebody correct me.
Right.
He was doing these events and these things, but his thing was like, "Oh, I'm converted. Let me only produce Christian music."
Yeah.
But it's mostly like the music that he's brought out. The music that he's been producing since then have been kind of modified and not as harsh, see where I'm going, not as it's been like very diluted to what his family's known used to, because I feel like, at least to me, his conversion is authentic. He got married, like his whole persona.
Who,
Justin Bieber,
okay. He got married?
He got married.
Yeah.
His whole persona has, like, as a person, has changed.
Yeah.
He's not doing the same thing. So to me, that's what makes it, to me, a little bit more authentic.
That's the fruit that that John was talking about, though. Like being able, like, check your track record type thing. And I don't know. It's like I get the track record thing, but I'm like, dog, like, why can't he be on fire though?
I think he can be on fire. I think what I think Mike Kelsey was trying to say, and I think what I believe he, for myself even, is that he can be on fire for God. I just don't think it has to happen through the same element where he was like pushing everything else. I think I think it should be something where he's like, I'm on fire for God, and I'm over here doing community service. I'm over here like helping the homeless. I'm over here doing the actual work of believers in Christianity. Like, you could be on fire for God and do all that stuff. I just think once you, because of his track record of all that he said before that, that's why we don't believe him now. That's why we're kind of looking at him like, really, Kanye, Jesus is king? Really? Even that, I saw an interview he did with, I think Mr. Big is his name, and it was like, he was talking about almost for an hour, and there was things that he said that were very convincing, that came across very compelling even. I was like, okay, Kanye, I see what, I see where you're going there. But I think the bottom line is, there's some rudimental, fundamental things as a believer that you have to learn and understand before you can go on a platform and say, this Jesus is king. Yeah, Jesus is king. But like, go ahead and like learn learn what Jesus is all about. Like, be a disciple of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, learn him before you go and try to be on a platform, because I don't think you can handle it on that platform without the proper preparation in the background.
And I think even like, I tell people, I think even the Bible even like speaks to that, because it says people always are big up on this other part of this verse. It says God looks at the heart, man looks at the outside. And everybody is big on the fact that, we should be like God looks at the heart. But it says man looks at the outside. So if you're trying to reach man, you have to, in a sense, you have to fix some of your outside, because if you're outside, man will never see. Only God can see the intentions of your heart. But man is constantly looking at the outside, and so if you're trying to, it's one of the things. Like, yes, you want to fix the inside, but what I'm saying is, but man doesn't see that. Man immediately sees what's the outward showing of it, and so that's why it comes across as authentic, because your outward showing, like the whole Trump thing and the whole, it's just. Blacks, slavery doesn't exist, bruh. Bye. I don't think we should have a posture as a believer. I'm a believer. I think we're all believers here. I don't think we should have a posture about it. I don't think it should matter to us as much as it seemingly matters to a lot of believers. I just don't think it should matter. I'm almost like with Tone, where it's like, it came out. Yeah. But as far as it concerns me as a believer, I don't want to clout chase. Nah. I don't need Jay-Z to go and be like Jesus King. I knew he was before you ever said it. You know what I'm saying? I don't need Beyonce to say it. I don't care. And I think the same goes for Kanye. It's like, I don't care that you're saying that now. Like, I knew that 25 years ago when I got converted, or 10 years or whatever, whoever got converted. So I'm just saying, like, we got to be very, very clear and concise about our own religion and what we believe as believers. Like, I don't need you to say that. I don't need you to put your stamp for it to be a cool, relevant thing. 'Cause I think that's what we like. We want somebody that's cool and relevant to say, yeah, Christianity's dope. I knew it was dope before you said that, bro. And you saying it doesn't change my posture about it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest issue that I find with our community. We trying to figure out, Kanye, oh my God, I'm so happy I'm happy. I want him to be, I'm a believer. I want more believers to be believers. But I'm not saying that because he's Kanye. I'm saying that because he's a new believer, you know? So that's how I feel about it. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has anything else about that jump, but.
Nah, I mean, I'm still kind of waiting and get a feel for what direction he's going in, because he could flip the script tomorrow and go back to doing whatever he was doing before.
What's funny, I was going to say real quick, in the interview, Mike, he was literally cursing throughout the interview. I'm not lying. And this is not me pointing judgment to him. It's just speaking to, he's a babe in Christ. Like, if he's a believer, he's a babe in Christ. So you can't give Kanye a mic at this point and have him preach at your church. Because he's going to be preaching who he is at this moment, which is a babe in Christ, cursing while still giving the word of God.
Well, so there was this one pastor.
Here you go.
And Pastor Wilson, I'm just saying, he's not a babe in Christ, but he's out there.
He out there licking the babies, though. Help us, God. So go ahead, Mike. I didn't even get
I'm good. That's all I got with that, man.
Okay. I don't even know where you can go after we talk about Pastor Wilson. Right? Jesus. All right, cool. So we've been talking about marriage versus divorce for this is about a third episode on it, and it's really been a lot of help to some of our friends. We've been getting text messages on our Instagram and Facebook. People have been hitting us up. What's the response been for you guys?
It's been good. I mean, a lot of feedback, especially like people. It's like, yo, man, that topic was really good. Yeah. Hey, can y'all touch on this? Can you talk about this? What are your thoughts on this? So I think that's great that people are listening.
Yeah. So what about you, Mike?
Yeah, it's more so about the exposure. Like, people are just like, wow, man, like being able to see it from our perspective, even if it's guys saying, like, commenting on them, like, yo, like, I be feeling like that sometimes.
Right.
And being able to put it on this platform so people can know, hey, this is, you know,
It's
how
normal.
we think about it. Yeah. It's a normal thing. Like, it happens.
Yeah.
So
What
I
about you?
think that's dope.
What about you?
Same
Tom?
thing that Mike was saying was just like people saying, "Yo, this was dope." You know, hearing young men talk about these things and put it out there, and not shying away from these topics that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, so it's been really good, the feedback that we've been getting from everybody, and I've been enjoying it, talking about it and kind of looking within the lens of my own marriage and seeing how, you know, like, what do I need to work on? I feel like it's been good for our marriages. Some people have been benefiting, amen, from some things, and I'm not going to speak to it. I'm going to let them go ahead and talk about it if they want to or if they don't want to. But anyway, one thing that I know was pivotal in our marriage, both my wife and I, was when we started having kids. And I know, you know, it's two of us here that have kids, and there's two that are maybe working on it or, you know, kind of thinking about it or
Having fun
with it, or practicing. Okay. Yeah. So as far as it's concerned for us, man, I wanted to make sure we at least touched on this topic a little bit. So, when it comes to having kids in the marriage, how does that affect your marriage? And I want T, cause you got married, and then you guys had kids almost immediately after. So you mentioned in one of the earlier episodes, you never got to see your wife as a wife only.
Nope.
Oh, first it transitioned from wife to being a mother. So how did that impact your marriage?
And I think it's even crazy because I'm glad you brought it. Is that we actually were long distance for a while too, because she lived in a whole nother state. So it was long distance, and then she moved here, and then I was maybe like a year and a half, 2 years later, we got married, and then 2 months later, she was pregnant, and so. That whole first year of marriage was pregnant, and then like we couldn't go on our I think it's called anniversary. We couldn't go on our first anniversary trip because she had just had a baby.
Wow.
So it's like that. So having a child is a wonderful thing. It's like I told people before. It's probably one of the greatest things I've ever done, but it also is one of the most tiring things I've ever done, and I think. It instantly, and I think that's an okay thing. I think it will immediately pull you away from the spouse a little bit.
Okay.
Because if you are really invested in being a good parent, you now have to really like I'm hearing what Mike said earlier that he goes running, you know, with his wife, and it's like you can do that quickly. Hey, what are you doing? Are you finished right? Okay, let's go running. I can't do that. Like I got 2 kids, like, you know, and so like right now we're both working out together, but we literally have to work out at separate times, you know, because now only do we have competing work schedules, who's going to watch the kids while we work out?
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just like that everything changes, and it does pull you away almost sometimes as a partner. So it's like you have to work even harder to maintain a relationship as a partner.
So let's zoom in a little bit just on that particular thing for your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had TJ first.
Yes.
When you had TJ, what were some of the earlier feelings and thoughts and things that happened within your marriage? The baby's here now. Okay. This is day 1 of TJ being on earth in your house. Mm-hmm. How did things start affecting your marriage from day 1 to day 30, if you will?
So, one of the things that people don't talk about, and I'm going to talk about what you don't think about, is you think about the beauty of being a parent.
Okay.
But you don't think about, now that I am one, like you said, the work I have to do. Who's picking TJ up?
Yeah.
Like who's picking him up from school?
Yeah.
And so, and that's not always for us. When we were at with TJ, it was her, because she can drop him off at my mom's house, and she worked down the street from my mom's house.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have to pick him up, you know. But that shifted once she got a better job and I got a better job, and now I'm closer to TJ and she works in DC.
Yeah.
So now I have to get up an hour earlier. I have to do all these things, and that is tiring. So number one,
you're saying roles change.
Roles change.
Okay.
And then because as a parent, you come home, I'm more tired. And so she's more tired. Mm-hmm. And so all the things that she would normally do, or I would normally do when you're not as tired.
Say what that is.
It could be even just keeping the house clean on a consistent basis. That is very
that important to you?
It's
important to y'all.
I can't say it's important, but it became more important once we had kids,
Okay.
Because beforehand, okay, I get it on the weekend, no problem.
Right.
Now on the weekends, it was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So like Tanisha, like we've hired cleaners.
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious. Like things that I would never in my life think I would pay for.
Yeah.
We've literally hired cleaners.
Yeah.
And we don't got it like that, but it's just like Tanisha and I have also looked into hiring cook. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, you
Hiring
guys
a cook.
you guys are doing a lot.
No, we're not. We looked into it.
Yeah.
Or I looked into it and realized I ain't budgeted. But one of the things, the benefit of the cleaner and the cook is that while someone's cooking and while someone's cleaning, I'm invested in spending time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's the price was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That was more important, you know, because if we're doing it and we're separated and doing it, you know, my kids are very young, so it's not like not all, TJ can, he's 6,
Yeah.
but the whole idea of chores it's not present yet. Like, you know, you get a reward for doing chores like our parents did, like, you know,
Yeah.
but it's not there. So the idea of giving TJ or of hiring a cleaner means I can now spend time with family. We can watch TV as a family. We can do things as a family because we don't have to pull away to clean the house.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that we discussed in the last episode was when we talked about, I mentioned at the end of the podcast where Keith Battles mentions how things pull at your marriage and it separates you, like natural separation occurs through marriage. Like you get married and literally you start moving away from each other because of life, work, your kids, your whatever else that you got going on, bills, financial issues, health issues. There's just things that are literally come between you and your spouse. You're naturally pulled away. And being naturally pulled away, Keith Battle basically said, like, you're naturally pulled away in marriage, and work, life, financial issues, health issues, things, they basically come between you and your spouse. And the question was, how do kids impact your marriage? And one of the things that I found in my marriage, as beautiful, like again, as Terrence was saying, as a child is a blessing that it is. Once everyone else leaves that environment from being there at the hospital, the nurses are leaving, whatever. And I'm like, so you gonna just leave me with the baby alone? Like y'all just not gonna tell me how to rate? I'm serious. I'm not trying to be funny. They literally left me and my wife. We both looking at each other like, yo, who gonna do what? Who gonna change her? Who gonna do the things? Who gonna feed her?
Right.
They gave us I think 30-minute overview of how to take care of the child.
I didn't even get that. What's
I was in
the hospital. Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah,
I
whoa.
just got over the fact that we had the child. So I'm over there like, what do you mean a 30-minute? I can't even conceptualize nothing you're talking about right now. And they give you the baby, and you take the baby home, the baby's crying, the baby's this and then that, and you're learning on the job training by yourselves as a couple how to parent that child.
Did you wake up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m.?
So initially, I mean, the first night we didn't sleep at all. Our daughter cried the entire night because she didn't know, my wife and I didn't know how to properly latch, her and get her fed, right? So once we realized all that stuff, yeah, she didn't sleep through the night. My wife became the primary caretaker of her in that sense. But even without that even being the case, that our daughter being born was the beginning of our marriage starting to end. Because we were ill-equipped to understand, like, we need to do way more to keep this molded together, and have some semblance of like relatability even. You know what I'm saying?
I was, and this actually applies even if you don't have a kid. I was listening to this podcast by Andy Stanley, and he talks about how a lot of people put emphasis on working on romance and not emphasis on working on what it means to be in a relationship. And that it was really profound and deep. He said, because you have a lot of people who perfect or they study how to be romantic, because that was like me, like, I was always like cards for no reason, take you out, this and that, on trips, etc., etc. One of the things that Jon asked that having a kid, it pulls away finances from that. So how can I'm not rich by all means. I definitely wasn't rich back then, like at all. So if I could normally spend $100 or $200 here just to surprise you for no reason, and I would do that, how can I now do that if I'm spending $45 a can on formula? Like I'm literally spending.
Your milk was a little bit different.
Yeah, it was $45 a can.
But you got to make sure that that's clear, because it makes you feel like that's normal. That's not normal.
But it is. But he had a serious milk allergy, which is weird anymore. But the fact, if it's in stores by droves, then it's normal someplace. because it's literally in Walmart. So it may not be normal for me, but just I have to prepare people that your kid may have some type of allergy where that like even he couldn't even. Not breast milk, not regular milk, not soy milk. It was whatever this can was. It was like $45 a can.
Oh, wow.
And it was a can.
Jesus.
It was the regular
You're
ounce.
talking like 16 ounce.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, and how quickly would that last?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Yeah, but man, 3 days, 3 days.
Yeah, he had to eat chicken.
Yeah. So
where your teeth at, fool?
yeah,
Something you
exactly. So I'm like, it pulls away, and so what you're talking about, John, is really good. Is that if you haven't before, and you have to now invest on time on what it means to kind of perfect a relationship.
Yes.
And not just, oh, I love him. We're so in love and it's so cute. It's so adorable. He does these great things. She does these great things. Wow. Them cheeks clap. Oh my God. She's so amazing.
Wait, what?
I'm throwing things out there.
Cheeks clap.
I'm throwing things out there what people think keeps your relationship, like sex and intimacy and flowers.
Please frame it. Frame it
I'm
for
just
us.
saying that's what fellas think. Fellas like, yeah.
wait a minute.
So it's important because like those things are great, but they do not maintain a relationship. And what happens is by default, what Annie talked about is as romantic as you think you are, if your relationship sucks, it's going to kill the romance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's like you went in like he's so romantic, but he sucks at relationships. So now I don't want to be romantic with him.
Yeah.
So the thing you thought you were going in for, you don't even want no parts of that.
Yeah.
And then both the man and the woman start looking someplace else because maybe I married the wrong person.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with that. It's that you two did not really beforehand and are not presently working on what it means to maximize the relationship.
I just wonder how many marriages end due to the understanding or lack of understanding of how much it really takes to be and stay married. I wonder how many marriages that are like in the line right now for divorce. That like if you just had a little bit more drive to go a little further in your marriage and to say, okay, I will fight a little harder, then I'll do whatever I got to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if that would have changed anything. This aircraft wants to make sure that we hear. He's like, I'm going to be on your podcast today.
I try to tell you who it was. It's not an aircraft.
What is
It's
it?
Kanye's personal jet. He's like, oh yeah, y'all gonna talk about me? Y'all want the smoke? Hear me? All the smoke.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I think that's. I mean, what do you think, Mike?
So
Dr. Mike, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. No, you have a really good point. And that's why it's so important to have premarital counseling too. So you can be able to develop those things within counseling before you actually get married and actually see if you guys are like legit able to.
But how does premarital counseling help? Like, give me why it's important.
Okay. So in a nutshell, premarital counseling is important so you can be able to, look at basically view the pros and the cons, right? Like you can see all the good stuff just by, going on dates, the romance and all that other stuff. But when you sit down and actually like communicate, have a conversation about things you like, what you don't like, and these are things you can do like while you're dating as well. But I think having a counselor there can kind of pull on those questions that make you like think from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And legit be like, hey, like, these are the questions that'll make you say, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
It's almost like you're because you're sitting there looking at it and you're like, oh, he's so this and she's so that cute and fine and this and that and oh, they got me this and that, and it kind of like looks between your relationship and kind of raises to the top the things that really matter, and the things that like you thought mattered so much kind of fall to the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Because like you're like, okay, at the top now it's like, you don't really like kids,
Right.
and I want kids,
Right.
so that might be a reason why y'all might not need to get married. Like, what about you? With marriage counseling, did you guys have it?
We had it.
Was it helpful for y'all, or what do you feel about that?
It was a little bit, yeah. But it's definitely necessary.
Yeah.
Because it forces conversation that you may not think about.
Mm-hmm.
It forces things to the surface that will show red flags.
Yeah.
Like, wow, so that's how you think about this? Like, or...
Those are very important things, though. Like, when you have that realization of like, wow, you really believe that? Like, those are moments where you gotta be like, oh crap!
Like, you really think like this? Like,
that's a good one.
And not just bringing up those topics, like, oh, you really think like this, but how to work through that.
Right.
That's the purpose of like counseling, like to be able to work through those issues.
But there are moments, I'm sure, right, where they're getting counseled and they're like, you think like that, and I think like this, and we're just not meshing.
Right.
We probably shouldn't do
But that's okay though to think differently. But it's, as Mike said, it's how are you going to work through that? You know,
are there ever any marriage counseling situations where they don't end up getting married? Because the picture we're painting right now is no matter what, you can forge ahead, because that's what I'm saying. Like, are there ever instances where it's like, okay, the marriage counselor revealed something to us that we probably shouldn't get?
I think it's that, and sometimes the person that's counseling you, sometimes the person that's going to marry you, and they will tell you, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be my belt.
Right.
I ain't gonna mess it up.
I don't approve of this. I'm no longer going to marry you all.
Yeah.
Based on your counseling sessions.
Yeah.
They determine if they see if you're compatible, if they want to stand before God with you.
Yeah.
And, officiate.
I guess I don't want to stop on that point, because I really feel like with marriage counseling, that's such a valuable part of like entering into the marriage cycle, like into that whole marriage space.
Yeah, because how you all, I guess, navigate counseling is legit how you're going to, navigate your marriage and navigate, the relationship overall. So if you all can't work through those differences within counseling, how can you expect to work through those differences when counseling isn't there and not available?
Do you think, Mike, that, or any of y'all, do y'all think that a lot of marriages are dissolved because, or go through divorce because of maybe not having the front end of the marriage counseling?
I think so. Just my personal opinion. I haven't checked statistics or anything like that.
I haven't either.
Nor have I, counseled anybody in marriage. You know what I'm saying? But just speaking on my own experiences, I would think so. Yeah. Like not being able to have that realm to have those communications, could lead into, okay, this wasn't in the forefront of your mind. So now you getting into it and not realizing like the topics and stuff y'all needed to discuss prior to.
Yeah.
To work through it.
And so one of the things that I liked how Andy put it, he said that a lot of it was really funny when he said it. He said a lot of the problems in marriage problems aren't marriage problems. They're personal problems that you brought into your marriage. Oh. He said a marriage problem is, okay, like, all right, well, like he said, he used it. A marriage problem is like, okay, so are we like, so the joint bank account is going empty. Like, we need to put more money into it. Blah blah blah.
How we going?
A marriage problem would be like the toothpaste is running empty. Do I need to roll it until I squeeze it? Like what do I do? That's a marriage problem. He said all the other stuff that we argue about, they're really not marriage problems. They're personal problems that you brought into your marriage.
Wow.
And because you didn't ask the tough questions before marriage, then that's why you now have them in your marriage.
Wow. And I think I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
But sometimes people can't even like differentiate what that is, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't understand that you got a personal problem or that person, the other person has a personal problem, if you can't identify that, then you're stuck playing the blame game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, because I think that kind of goes into the glamorization of marriage. Because on Instagram a lot, everybody's like marriage goals, this and that and the third. Yeah. And I was actually having a conversation with somebody this week.
Your future husband.
Yeah. Don't even open that. Don't even open that door. Don't even open that door.
Wait till February.
But but the funniness of it all is that everyone married trying to be single, and everybody single trying to be married. We don't even know how to live this thing out the right way. Everybody's so desperate for the next thing that they don't know how to deal with the thing that they are right now, right? So let's kind of speak into what you're saying about Andy Stanley. He's like, you're bringing your single problems into a marriage. And if we don't deal with ourselves on the single side of things, the single side. So, because the issue is this. A lot of single people, and this is not married people preaching to single people. This is I'm married and I want to help you because I know how tough marriage can be, and it's hard when people already like each other. It's hard to stay together. So when you haven't dealt with the hard questions and then you kind of already don't like each other, the fabric of the marriage is easily broken. So I'm just saying that to say, if I could provide advice for single people, it would be, while you're single, work on yourself. Work on the things that you need to work on within yourself right now. So don't wait till you get the person to get to. And you're single if you're not married. I don't care if you're dating. You're single.
Yeah.
If you're married, you have a ring on your left finger or left hand. Not finger, third finger, fourth finger, whatever.
Ring finger.
Ring finger. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But you're married by the band. You're not married dating. You're not married even engaged. You're not married. You're engaged. They have these titles.
Listen to your honest friends too. Listen to your honest friends.
I would say listen to your gut. Don't ignore it, because I think a lot of times we silence it. And the thing that we silence is the thing that resurfaces in marriages.
Yeah, because we're so focused on the glamour, like you were saying before, right? So your gut is just like, man, something ain't right with that. But, all right, let's work through it. Or they'll be like, all right, let's keep it going.
Caution signs become exit signs.
That's good.
A caution sign before the marriage is an exit sign during the marriage. And that's just something.
So you had to just trump us on. That's all that was. Actually, guys, a caution sign.
Because here's what I'm thinking. Because if we talked about we talked about this last week about the idea, like John asked the question, like, is divorce something in your future, like something, because is divorce something that you see it happening in your marriage? And I think we all said no, we don't want it, we wouldn't like to, etc. That doesn't mean there's not things that have come up that be like,
yeah,
make you second guess.
Second guess. Yeah. But I'm in it now.
Yeah.
So the advice John said is different. Before you get in it, I'm in it. Yeah. So I can tell you the things, you know what, had I thought about this might have been like, nah, makes it, but now that I'm in it, it's almost like you see the exit sign, but I have to drive past it because I'm already on the highway.
And let me say this too. Once divorce becomes not only an option, but a fulfillment, you fulfill the desire to divorce, then divorce keeps becoming an option. Like that initial time that divorce became an option, the next time you get married, it'll still be an option.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to be careful what you allow into your space to say, I am okay with this, and I am okay moving forward in this, because that becomes something that you'll be okay the next time. You know what I'm saying? What's to say the next time you get married, that won't be on the table again?
Especially, I said this last, if there's no root cause analysis as to
you did say that.
If there's no root cause, if you do get divorced,
what is root cause? What do you mean when you say that?
Root cause analysis is there's actually a formula to it. Like you actually have to, if you're done correctly, you actually look at the problems, and what happens is the problems, they have to be something within your realm of control. Like, it can't be anything that's outside of your realm of control to do an authentic.
So not your spouse, only within myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Your root cause analysis. No. So in the realm of a marriage, it could be that's a realm of control. So yes, but so you can factor in things that your spouse have done, but the root cause analysis has to be like how you reacted to it or what your response to, because it's about you. But what you can't bring in things like, well, I'm just trying to give a good example, like a root cause analysis, like, well, the reason why we don't have any money is because there was a hurricane and he lost his job. That's an outside thing. So root cause analysis, what am I going to do right now? Or it's an outside factor. So root cause analysis, and if you're not doing those things, I say this to my students all the time, like, I'm going to a different school. Wherever you go, you still take you with you. So you still take you with you. So if you're not doing that, like you can, that's why the idea of the marriage, you can always get another the marriage. I can always find another the marriage. Yeah. So that's why I hate the phrase, even when my wife says it, I want to work on my marriage. Like I can always have if I get married again, I'm going to have another my marriage. Yeah. So like the question you should always ask is, could you have another, like that person, is that the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life, regardless of what it is, that's the person. Yeah. And so that's the core of why I said it's important to work on your relationship with that person, because that's the thing that you're going to work on.
Yeah.
I have the one, and this is very important for me to say, and this is not a knock on my current spouse or etc. I have always been a type of person who does things like takes people on trips and go shopping for them and buy cars. That has nothing to do with my current spouse.
Buy cars?
Not
cars.
Cars. Like cards, flowers, candies.
Oh, cards with a D and an S at the end.
Yeah.
Because I'm ready. I'm like, Lord, I'm in line. Put me in line, Lord. I want a car.
So I've always been that type. I would say it has maximized with my current partner.
Yeah.
But that's also maximized because I also have more money than I did when I earlier dated. I have a better job. Makes sense. We have double income, so it's maximized.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But I've always been that person, been that way. So that's outside of my spouse. So that's me. Makes sense. And so me perfecting that did not make me better at my relationship. And that's one thing that, like, wise counsel that John and Mike called me on. You're doing all these things, but yet you're still having these problems in your relationship.
Right.
So you gotta really I had to really get better at the relationship of what it means to be her partner.
Yes.
And not just a partner. Because that's a whole different question.
Because maybe the gifts weren't that's what she wanted.
You throwing cards and flowers at her, and she just want to spend time.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people,
Love languages. Yep.
as we're talking about counseling as well, they're not ready for the challenge. And so when you talk about people working on themselves, when you work on yourself, people are bringing things up that you may need to work on that could potentially make you a great person for someone else. So you have to listen to those things, be okay with the challenge. Because when you get married, you can work on yourself all you want. When you get married to somebody else, you're going to be challenged.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to accept someone challenging you, your viewpoints, and whatever else, it's definitely not going to work. Because you're going to feel like you're being attacked when that person just challenging you to make you better or to fix a situation.
I think that will be a good thing to look for within a relationship with somebody. And if you decide to, hey, consider marriage with this person, how do they work through problems? How do they work through challenges? Because if they just run away from it, guess what they're going to run away from once you get married?
Your challenges.
They're going to run. They're going to run away from your marriage.
You're not, in my opinion, you're not dating until your first argument.
Right.
You're not in a relationship. You're not in a relationship to your first argument.
I said that to my sister.
Yeah, you're not. We could show me your first argument.
You know what's funny about that? And I said this to my sister. I don't know or care whether she, whatever. But I love my sister. But she said something that's valuable. I mean, she was like, she was dating her friend or whatever, and she was like, I love him. He's so great. He's so this and that. I was like, oh, okay.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Holler at me after y'all have y'all first argument. Mm-hmm. And not long after that, whatever they did, and I was like, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now we can start dealing with when the rubber now has met the road. Now we can start having some conversation about who he is and who you are and how that will be molded together or not molded together.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing was true for my wife and I. Like when we usually are good. And what's funny about us is that we'll be good for a long time. Then something just smack us and I'll get mad or whatever and it'll blow up into this huge, we'll be good for weeks, months. But then that one thing happened and we ready to go and we going in and we going in, right? But these are things that are valuable. I think if I had worked,
funny. I just can't see Jovita go.
I don't know. Javita doesn't go in, and that's the thing that I had to learn about my wife. And that's what I'm trying to. So this is actually probably a really good point because I've been working within myself. Y'all know I have a daughter and then my wife, and so I have two women in the household. And how I handle my anger is valuable in this season of my life. Mm-hmm. But if I had dealt with it on the front end of things when I was single, it would have helped a lot more now that I'm married. Yeah. Because first of all, I'm boisterous, period. Amongst men, I'm boisterous. Mm-hmm. When my wife is not like that way. And my daughter, so if I'm commanding just talking regular. So if I'm yelling, it's even worse, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm saying that to say, I don't want my wife or daughter to feel like this is what a man does.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is a natural characteristic I've had for a lot of, but it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. Mm-hmm. And a lot of who we are, we've grown cozy to it, but not dealing with the fact that I got to deal with me first. It's not sexy to deal with me. It's not fun. It's not Instagram fly. It's not trending topic. It is literally by myself. I gotta work on this because I don't want my daughter to look at another man that yells at her and says, "That's my daddy." I want to attach myself to that person.
I got another gem from Andy Stanley. He's dropping gems. He says when you are dating, as far as that topic, are you becoming the person becoming the person that the person you are looking for is looking for?
I don't even want to begin thinking that one through. Try that again.
He says, "Are you actively becoming the person that the person you are looking for is looking for?"
Jeez.
Because what happens is everybody focuses on the other person.
So happy I got it that time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. There is zero. When I say zero, maybe 0.5% of people, especially with social media, actively showing you that they're working on themselves. What they're saying is this: what's wrong with this person? What's wrong with this person? What's wrong with this person? What's wrong with this person?
Wow.
Meanwhile, mathematically, the common denominator of why you can't find anybody is just you. It's just you. It's just you. If you keep running into the same type of person and you keep running into the same type of situations and you say they're all trash or women out here ain't stuff, but yet it keeps happening to you.
Yeah.
The common denominator, 1-8, you're the 8. Like, like you're the common denominator. And so he challenged me because even if you are married, because if you are married, are you the person that the spouse you have was looking for? Mm-hmm. And if not, what are you doing to make, like, it's like this constant push on perfecting yourself? Yeah. Because exactly what you said is whatever you thought yourself before, I'm just gonna do this now. But when I get married, it's gonna be totally different. And I'm just gonna do me right now. Yeah. But when I'm just gonna sow these royal oats, like they said in Coming to America. Because when I get married, then I'm gonna settle down. I'm just gonna sleep with all these girls right now. But when I settle down, I'm gonna settle down. I'm gonna be good because I'm settled down. And all that crap you are bringing into your marriage, whether you thought you were or you not.
So I'm sorry. I just want to say one thing real quick to what he just said. I'm sorry. Just to say that when you bring all that into your marriage, I think it looks more like you'll still be dealing with those women literally. Like it's not as figurative as you may think. Yeah. Like, because it may not be the same girls as you was before. It'll just be women in general. Because I'm like, if you have a consistent nature of yourself, you're not going to change that consistent nature just because you met a woman. Right. Like you hope so, but really, I mean, we're talking about being transformed, like, completely. It's not done by one woman. Right. Mm-hmm. It's done by some critical events that you're saying, I'm intentionally doing this, like, right now on the front end, so that when I get married, I've set for instance, hypothetically, I've set my finances up so that when I get married, I have a financial system and I keep that financial system in play now that I'm married. You know, does that make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in the same way, if you out here all around, you may not actually be all around when you are in marriage, but you may want to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's the system that you built for yourself.
That's the system you built before yourself. That's all I'm trying to say. Whoever else had that floor.
And the phrase that you should worry about, not in every situation, but in some situations, is this is who I am. Whew.
Say that, Tony. Say it one more time, please. Say it again, please.
You should worry about the person saying, this is who I am. And that's not in every situation, because if you're an introvert, you're an introvert. Okay, you're an introvert. However, as John, you were saying, if you're yelling and you say, this is just who I am and this is how I talk, but your spouse is saying, that scares me, that hurts me, that worries me, that does this, and you say, well, this is who I am, do you care enough to change that piece? So when someone says, this is who I am, when you say, this hurts me, this worries me, or this is how that affects me, and you say, well, this is just who I am, what are you saying to your spouse?
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider, man, because that's the mindset that this person has built. Like, I ain't changing. Yes. And that's basically what we do as humans. Like, we're constantly evolving. We're constantly changing. Mm-hmm. What you like today. And I mentioned this before, like, what you like today, you're not going to like next week, or you're not going to like, a couple years from now. So who are you willing to change with? And I think that's so important when you get into a relationship and a marriage with somebody. It's like, okay, these changes are going to happen. Keep that expectation. Okay. The expectation from now should be, okay, is this a person that I'm willing to go through those changes with? Are we going to be able to work through those changes? And to add to what you were saying, people don't always know, like, who they are. Right. So it's a matter of it's a couple of different layers, right? And you should understand what were the environmental factors in your life that caused you to be and act the way that you're acting right now. That's one thing. And two, understanding, like, your temperaments. What are the innate things that you were born with, the things you've done as a baby, as a child, when you first out the womb, like, what were those things that you did and how you reacted to your environment? That's literally your temperament, because temperaments exist, they're God given, right? Like these are things, again, we are born with. You can sit babies in nurseries, when they're first born out of the womb, and every baby's doing something different. You know, they can be asleep. They can be, you know, crying for some milk or something like that. They can be, you know, sitting back giggling for no reason. Or one baby's just sitting around just looking, being observant. Like those are your temperaments. So understanding those, understanding your environmental factors, that will ultimately like help you understand like who you are and what you should do to be able to strive for like who you want to become. So
yeah, I think that's valuable. I think a lot in marriage is kind of based on, because let's think about this. For everything in life, there is a certain level of attainment, right? So like, let's say like Terrence is a vice principal. He didn't know how to be a vice principal in and of itself. He had to see someone else be a vice principal to know that he wanted to attain what a vice principal is. To be married, you have to know what a marriage looks like, and what is your viewpoint? What's your culture? Where was it raised? Where was it groomed? Where was it discovered? Right?
Not Disney Channel.
Not Disney Channel. Okay, and man, I don't. Is that a personal thing?
You know what marriage looks like.
Oh, okay.
Disney.
Okay.
not
Yeah,
Disney, not BET.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So like not TV, not Instagram, not wherever. So like a lot of those value systems are grown through where you grew up.
Right.
And so even in marriage, a lot of things happen where you have to figure out, well, okay, that was okay for your household. That was okay, John, for your household. But in this household, what will be the culture and the environment that we're going to create for our family and for us? That will be things that are pillars that will stay in our community, in our household, right? Those things, that thing is so important to me, because I feel like you pick up on things that you think are valuable or you think that are critical, because you may say, okay, well, in my household, this is what they did, so this has to happen and be carried over into this household. Is that always the case?
Nope.
No, because you can see some bad examples.
Yeah.
And then for you, especially as you get older, you realize what you like, what you don't like, what would work, what would not work.
Yeah.
And you chew the meat, spit out the bones. That's the phrase. Like I'll take this part because this part of that marriage was good. That part I'm not too comfortable with.
Yeah.
You know, and then but the split side of it, I'm trying to use my math right. If I look at a marriage and I take 50% of what they did, and I said I'll take that 50%. You got to remember that your partner also has viewed marriage, or should have, and then they add their part, and so it literally is coming together and just constructing of what's going to make up 100% and who's providing what part, and that fluctuates some days. Like it's so much that goes into it, but it's important to at least analyze, to have some of what it actually does mean to be married. And I like what Tony and you all said. Look at the good examples, look at the bad examples, and then come and talk about it. And nobody does talk about it, I think. That's why as y'all were talking about marriage counseling, I think that's important. But what I think is equally important after that is work on the marriage within the marriage. I think if you just do it's kind of saying in the educational world where we talk about when we do professional development and PDs, and a professional development that's not authentic is one that's a one-stop shop and you just keep it moving. The better professional developments are ones that are ongoing and can be embedded into the work that you're doing. So marriage counseling is great. It's a good starting point. I am now a firm believer that what work am I doing throughout my marriage, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 7, year 10, year 15, year 20, that's working on the marriage. Because otherwise, number one, I think I've arrived and I got it all.
Right.
And that's not true. You're always changing. Your spouse is always changing. So what are you doing to work on how do I learn this new, like the new her? And so I don't think we put stock into, I feel like it's done in some religious pockets, but I like talking to people who aren't necessarily always religious, who are listening to this podcast, who might not necessarily be Christians or et cetera. I don't care who you are. What are you doing to invest in the marriage currently throughout the year? Besides just you're like, oh, I'm gonna take her out.
So and going back to morals, right? So like, regardless of whether you're Christian or whatever your morally like standpoints are, right? Having those morals and those standards are important to go into marriage with and keep within your marriage, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, including divorce.
and I think I said this in like the first podcast that I was on. I am not you, and you are not me, and that's something we have to be mindful of, because at times we are trying to change our spouse to be who we are,
Yes.
and not allowing them to be them and accepting some. Yes, we do have to change to meet in the middle. However, I will never become you, and you will never become me.
Yeah.
And so if I walk with my dark side up and you walk with your hands flipped, don't try to force me to walk with my hands flipped if this is just who I am. Like I said earlier, there's some things, this is me. I don't have to change this, because this is okay for me to walk like this. It's okay for you to walk like this.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I have to do everything the way that you do it.
Right.
Let me be, free in my household as well. If me being like that is not hindering our marriage from growing.
That's kind of weird though, right? Like, you wouldn't marry somebody that's exactly like you,
Right?
Like, I know I wouldn't, because I'm weird. I'm like anal about certain things, like real particular about certain stuff, and I need that like flexibility from somebody else, or balance rather, from somebody else to be able to say, hey, we actually don't need to care about this thing right now, or whatever. But if we were just all like, if we were both like me, I'd just be like, I actually get tired of me.
I got a question, because I feel like, at least I'm not mad about that. I feel like I feel like this so far this podcast we've been talking about, like, not superficial, but almost like not as like specific, which is okay. Like, but what are some things that you've like that are off limits, like in your marriage, that you've learned like with your partner?
What do you mean off limits?
So here's a question: are you allowed to have new friends, like new female friends?
No.
I would say, I'm just gonna say no.
So, okay. So I'm allowed to have new female friends. I think it's a matter of like my wife being able to meet them and like get a feel for who they are beforehand, or within the whole establishing friendship type thing.
Yeah.
Because genuinely, like, there are some things that my wife can see that I can't. Like, I've noticed that, like, I'm just a friendly person. I see the best out of people. She is sometimes able to see like for what it is, and coming from a female's perspective, she know female game. So like, she meets that person, she's like, oh, okay, she getting a feel for who they are within the conversation, stuff like that, morally, whatever. And then later on we'll have a discussion, be like, hey, she
That
cool.
was your last day seeing her.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so you won't be talking to her anymore.
She's done.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can, but there's stipulations to that. And it comes with communication with your spouse, like to see if, hey, is this cool? You cool with this? Like, I think they're a great person, but if you don't, we don't.
Yeah. Just imagine if y'all cool.
I'm about to say, are y'all good with y'all wives having male new friends?
I need to know them.
Yeah, I gotta meet them.
Because I don't really care. Usually, I don't. I mean, I really don't. I was like, oh, okay. They knew. What do you mean? I mean, for me, it's like, where you gonna meet a new friend that ain't working at my house?
There's my question.
Is he the pool guy? Like, who is it?
What counts? What to me is what counts as a friend, and what are you doing with this friend?
What are you doing with this friend is the first question.
That's the first question.
No, that was your second question.
Sure.
What are you doing with this friend is my first question.
Yeah.
What y'all about to do?
So are you all talking on the phone like regularly? Are you having conversations on the phone regularly? Like,
do you even have time for a phone when you married with a kid?
That's what I see.
Man.
Let's just.
I'm just asking. I'm throwing it out.
No.
Texting is the
Texting's
thing.
the texting's a new thing.
And for me, it's just like, if my wife sees me texting a female that she does not know,
is that a problem?
That's going to raise concern. Like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Renee will subtly be like, oh, who's that?
Yeah.
It's just like,
it's not like
and I get it. Just like if I see her texting a dude that like she's never talked about, I have no awareness about, and I see her texting this random dude, like, yo, who that?
Do you guys go through each other's phones?
No.
Nah.
No.
When we were dating, like, we would openly just like, okay, we're just gonna sit down. Let's go through each other's pics.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, I will be scrolling through my pictures, and she's looking, and then she does the same. And so it's like, no, I don't have her phone going through all her stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a moment, like that moment where we're going through pictures, If something
But
pops
she has
up,
your password and all that too, like to your phone.
I don't know. I think she's
That means a no.
no, but
That actually might be a yes.
I change it every 3 days.
No.
She changes every 3 days.
No, she seen me put it in, and I told her what it was, but I don't know if she remembers it.
Gotcha.
She remembers it.
You know,
Women don't forget
remembers
nothing.
it.
Elephants.
Bro.
Just
like
Literally.
nothing.
like I don't remember. She told me hers too. I don't remember now.
No, you don't remember because you're a man. You're not supposed to remember. Women, I'm not lying, yo. My
Selective
wife,
memory.
yo, she has memory. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm like, where's my passcode? 13722. Babe, I told you that in 1996. She's like, I remember.
Can't remember where the HDMI cord goes.
Because it wasn't important. They have different folders for those type of things.
Selective.
It's like my man. This is my man folder. I keep that at the top.
Primary
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, as far as having new friends and having new female friends, I think it really is a thing of comfort.
Yeah.
And what I've learned from my wife is like, I need to be like, yeah, Keisha and I this, Keisha and I that, Keisha. I need to keep saying Keisha so you know who Keisha is. Because the moment I'm like, yeah, me and Keisha about to, who Keisha?
Yeah.
Who's Keisha?
Because if I say
Keisha who?
Right. Me and Keisha ain't about to go nowhere because I haven't already set the parameters for who she is as a person.
Yeah.
I think so. I jokingly said no off the break but I'm in my field of music, especially, like I'm always meeting new people, always in new environments people become my friend, right?
That makes sense.
But as long as they respect who she is, because my wife,
Yes.
which I didn't know, she will check you. Y'all were at my birthday. I was sitting there like, when you talking about a man that was shocked at the result. I was sitting there like, my wife is checking people. Like,
I think we were all shocked.
but I'm sitting there like, y'all see that? My wife is the most reserved, quiet. I won't bother a mouse. This woman, I don't know whether it was the Alki or what, but she was going in. I was sitting there like, keep Jovita.
That goose had
that goose had a loose on it. But I'm just saying, like, yo.
this is, and for people who are listening, there is no right or wrong answer to this question.
Yeah.
It really is what's okay for your spouse.
Right.
That's the
only answer.
That's the only answer.
If your spouse says no,
that's the end. That's
No.
that was the last friend you had.
and watch it. And if that's a problem for you while you're on that highway to marriage, then you need to take that exit because that person who they are before is who they're going to be after they say I do.
Let's speak to this. How important is it to for your spouse to feel like she's your number one? Because that's kind of what we're speaking to when we're talking about new female friends. Really.
Yeah.
Like, because if a new female comes in the environment and your wife feels threatened, what do you do in those environments?
I mean, everybody within a relationship wants to be able to like feel wanted and needed, right? So like when you are spending all this time with another friend, whether they're male or female, now it's like, all right, well, what about me? Like, I feel like now, like when you get to that point, it becomes a norm that your wife or your spouse is there, and they lose that aspect of, oh, you don't feel like I'm important anymore.
That goes into like anything on the phone. Anything on the phone. If your spouse is literally always into their phone, what about me?
Is that a thing for you?
Yes.
That's the thing for me too.
That's
I can't stand my wife does this, and I'll be like, yo, I will flip tables and chairs, okay? But if you're like, if I'm talking to you and you're playing a game, and you're just like, I'm talking to you, I'm giving you my undivided attention. I'm looking at you in your eye, and you're like, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna smack the phone, okay? Because I'm a type of, I notice one thing about myself is that I need this, that I need that eye contact. Yeah. I need you to look at me. I need you to know, you need to be engrossed by what I'm saying because I'm engrossed by what you're saying.
Especially in an in-depth conversation. Like if we're having a serious conversation and you like talking to me while you're on your phone, I'm gonna be ready to smack that phone.
Phone getting smacked. $1,000 or what? It's down the drain. Okay.
I'm not like that, but it's funny. I am like that if we're watching a movie.
Say more.
I'm not to Tanisha and I talk because I can listen and do something at the same exact time. Like I can play a game and talk at the same exact time. The one thing I cannot do is watch a movie and talk at the same time. I cannot watch a movie and be on my phone.
Is she a talker while you watch movies? Is that what you're saying?
No, she'll be on her phone And so I'm just
That
like,
bothers you that she's on her
It does,
phone while you're watching a movie?
yes, because
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Terrence.
If y'all are watching the movie
yes,
together,
we're watching it
Okay.
together.
yeah.
Only reason I can see that being an issue is if she says, "Hey T, why did they hit that person?" Or why? Like,
Yes,
does she do that?
Or, no,
Right, like-
what's worse is she's like, "Can you go back?"
Oh no, she did not.
No,
Tanisha, she's in the other room, y'all.
we're not going back. We're not going back.
You can watch it another time.
I don't want to watch it because we're not going back.
Terrence is
Well,
stomping
my
out the
thing is,
room.
when you get home from work and you think about how much time you have left in the day,
Yeah.
that you actually have to spend with your
No,
spouse.
that makes sense. I
And
agree- I
we're
agree
sitting
with that.
down, whatever we're doing. Now, if we're both in our phones, watching videos or whatever,
This plane. Look. Andrews Air Force Base. It's okay. We're gonna keep it moving. Go ahead.
And if we're both, like the other day, we were both watching videos on our phone. Fine, we're good. But if there's time where one is doing nothing, watching TV, and that's time that can be spent together, quality time.
Yeah.
To me, quality time is undivided attention being given to each other.
I'm trying to listen to you. This aircraft.
They put it in reverse.
Right. Oh, he's talking. He's talking again. Let me put it in
I
reverse.
told you that's Kanye's personal jet. Yo. We
Go ahead, my
fine.
bad.
But
bad.
that's my thing. I'm just like, okay, we have about 3 hours before we're gonna start winding down to go to bed.
Yeah.
And so, give me an hour. Let's spend this whole evening without being in our phones.
yeah,
That's
And,
important.
Like
that's being intentional about relationship growth.
That's
Yeah.
great.
But the statement of "I'm not on my phone at work" doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
If I'm not spending a lot of time with you,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
what's
I
more important?
want quality time with you, I want us to sit down, watch TV, whatever it is, no phone.
To me, it sounds like, and I agree with you 100%, Tony. It sounds like, what are you making to be your priority? You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't feel like I'm a priority to you, because that's what you're really saying. When you're saying,
What's more important?
I was at work, I couldn't, and I'm just using your example, I was at work and I couldn't use my phone. Now I'm home. All I want to do is get my, so your phone is more important than me. That's what you're saying. Because the issue in marriage is really one of the bigger things. I mean, is what are you putting ahead of me?
Yeah.
Is it my child? Is it the TV? Is it a movie? Is it football? Is it the phone? Like, is it a game? What are you putting ahead of me?
Is it myself?
Is it myself?
And
And
so,
that's really, all of those things are like my self-interest.
And
Like, I want to spend my time doing X.
and that's the important thing, because this is one concept that when I started studying like marriage before I got married, that was emphatically important before I even said anything. The most important person in marriage is no longer yourself. It's not even your kids. It's your spouse. And that people said that sounds so harsh. That's literally the way it was designed. Your spouse is supposed to come first. Period.
Yeah.
Not your mom, not your dad anymore, not your even if, like, I'm not saying that it would be, but if there is an issue where it is, and I'm not talking about, let's be like realistic. I'm not talking about your child needs medical attention. I'm not talking about that. But if there's an issue in which someone needs to win, or someone needs their needs met, your child or versus your spouse is supposed to win that argument.
Yeah.
And
So,
triggers as well. So one of mine is when we're in bed and it's getting late, whatever, and and she's she's turned over on her phone. Like, what are you doing?
it's a trigger.
And so a trigger. Years ago, I was dating someone, and she kind of moved in with us, my mom's house or whatever, and she'd be in the middle of the night texting, and I'm like, "Who are you texting?" Come to find out, she was cheating or whatever. And so,
Dang, she was cheating, staying in your mama house.
for me, like, you
It's a
texting,
little weird. You
Like,
couldn't wait till you got
you texting this nigga,
Yeah.
whatever, and it turns out to be that. Like, it came out later down the road. After we broke
You didn't
up or
know
whatever.
then. Yeah.
I didn't know at that very moment.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, even though she could be just scrolling, looking at, shopping or whatever,
It triggers.
it triggers.
Yeah.
I don't have to see what you're doing, but seeing you turned over back towards me on your phone,
Right. It feels weird.
it feels weird. Yeah. And so that's something that we have to think about too, is like, what are our triggers
Yeah.
that they are unaware of?
So that's a part of those environmental factors that I was talking about earlier, like the things that builds your personality.
Yeah.
Based off of past experiences.
They come in.
So now you have developed a trigger towards somebody having their back turned to you and being on their phone, and you automatically react in a way where like, oh, that's negative.
Yeah.
So being aware of that and understanding like, yo, like that actually might not be the case because she's not that person from the past, and that's not always a thing. Everybody's different.
Yep.
But understanding that about yourself is so important because that's a personal problem.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and then but I also think it's important because I was exactly about to say what you said. While you're growing to work on that, she should also be cognizant that you deal with that. And I think part of it should be willing to say, okay, you know what?
Let me not do this thing.
Yeah. So like I don't. Why would I want to do anything that's gonna
hurt my husband?
Yeah, it makes it like. And so with that being said, like her and my wife and I had this conversation. I thought I wanted to bring it to you all. Have you ever been into an environment where like you're at an event, you're with your spouse, you know, your boo, whether it's your girlfriend or your wife, but for us it's your wife, and then an old fling walks in, or someone intimate like walks into the same event.
Okay.
Is that the whole thing?
Well, what I want to know is the
I don't know her. Like what do you mean?
So you don't know her?
That just happened to me last week.
I don't know her.
That literally just happened to me last week.
John was like,
who are you? Like she don't think I got in an accident. I have no idea who you are.
It was funny because we were sitting at this table, me and my wife sitting at this table, and that girl and her mom walked into the same event.
Yeah.
And we saw them. They had to see us because, you know, whatever.
The same thing.
And they didn't speak, whatever, nothing, right? And so later, towards the end of the event, the mom came over as she was walking to a table that was behind us and spoke to both of us. And then, like 5 minutes later, that girl walks over. It was like, hey, whatever. I mean, she greeted both of us. You know, it wasn't the disrespect of, you know, she greeted me and not her.
Right.
But we both looked, was just like,
yeah. Why is this happening?
Like, we've been here the whole time. Like, there is no, my wife knows who she is.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So if you see us, just speak.
You don't know me.
It's like,
if you see me in the streets, girl, you don't know me.
You know, if there was a problem, but like, just speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a high. You know, we're going to keep it moving.
Do you know that high will be on a highway? We're going to be talking about that high for the rest of the week.
It depends on timing too. Cause like, it's more so like, okay, when you first see me, you speak, all right, cool. But the hesitation
means you still love me. And I can't talk to you.
The hesitation means something.
Yeah.
Right? You love me. We can't talk.
We can't talk ever again.
No, it wasn't. Now, I agree. I'm not running up to go speak.
Yeah.
I am not going to go up my way to go speak.
Yeah.
That will be a problem. If I leave my wife,
I can't leave to talk to her at all.
Right.
And she can't come to talk to me at all. We don't know each other. Period, Tone.
We talk about ex-girlfriends, right?
Yes, anybody. I don't know. I don't ex anything. I don't know you.
So wait. Time out.
Listen, Peter. All right.
Straight up, I don't know you, young.
So I don't necessarily have a problem with that because, like, especially if it ended on good terms, we're cordial at this point.
Right.
Like, I mean,
but if it's bad terms, like
if it's bad terms, it's like, all right, you know, I'm not gonna like come over here and talk to you. If you come over here and talk to me, I feel like you about to start something.
Yeah.
Like if it ended on bad terms.
So my thing is that this actually happened to me like really recently, and so the funny thing is, John, which is so funny is, like, my wife was actually like perfectly calm, high, greeted, blah 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 blah. Like I said, again, she didn't know the person who there was like prior to her long time, her incident with her. But with me, I don't know why it's in my conscience, and so I immediately like I don't want to be around you. I immediately want to go like further away.
We're leaving. We're
like,
leaving.
I don't know why that is. So I actually avoid. I don't even want to be in an environment where a person that I used to be intimate with or etc. is at that same environment.
Yes.
Like it's just I don't know why, but
because you're a regular human being.
To
That's
avoid
why.
anything from happening.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's
okay. So that speaks to the ties that you have with that person currently, right? So, and not to say that there's actually something going on there, but what soul ties have you taken on from that person
That could be very true.
to the point where you're like, when you see that person, you're affected by that, and you can't even be in an environment.
Yeah.
I'm not affected. I'm just not stupid. I'd rather just not. Well, I don't see the point.
But why should you care, though?
What's the point in me saying anything to this person?
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
But what's the point of it? Like, why is that important?
Why would you leave because somebody else showed up?
Because it's best for my life and my wife's life.
Why is that?
Why? No.
I don't want to be there with both of them. Like,
No, but I'm agreeing
I'm
with
leaving.
John. I'm
On
agreeing
site.
with John, but I think by agreeing with John, I'm also agreeing with you. Like I think the point is like a high and by is cool, but I'm just also like I don't want to see you.
Bro,
But it's not saying go sit together and commune.
I'm not saying
yeah,
anything.
not saying that at all.
Right.
Well, my wife did, which was.
But I'm
so
like,
awkward.
we came to this event together. I don't care if you here with me. Like,
Right.
if I see you, cool. Hi, bye, keep it moving. But I'm not gonna be like, oh man, she in the room. I can't be.
Yeah, I don't think I was like
I think
that.
I'm gonna bounce. Like, nah.
It was more
That
so
means
like-
there's something else mentally, spiritually going on where you still have some type of tie with that person, and that needs to be severed.
No, I
I don't know if that necessarily means that though.
I can't
don't
say
know.
either.
I think so.
I would say if it ended badly, it is really worse. Like if we had a situation that ended badly, I definitely don't want to be anywhere in a room with you and my wife.
Even if it ended badly, what have you done to be able to sever those ties where it's okay to be in the same room with that person?
I don't think it's not about it being okay. It's just I just don't want to. Like I don't want to be in the same place with you. Like it's not like
We don't have to agree to disagree. I don't think anything's wrong with. I don't think anything's wrong with just leaving. I think if it's best for us to just leave. In my opinion, if I feel most comfortable leaving, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
I don't know her. I don't know anybody here at this party.
I don't know her.
I will leave because I just feel like it's best. And for me, I didn't go down my list of women and be like, hey, I had this soul tie with you. Let's just rectify it and make sure that it was severed properly. I didn't do that. So there are some women out there could be very much so like Jonathan Jones. Oh, I've been waiting for that. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? They could very well go that way.
Yeah.
So I'd rather like, I don't know you. You don't know me. We never met.
Yeah.
Jovita, grab your purse. We're leaving
right now.
Right this month. I'm out.
That is great.
I don't care nothing about it. Okay, so we're gonna have to end this topic, but that was a good question at the end, though.
Yeah, it was.
I want, and guys, if you guys can really briefly, like in one word or sentence, say what does it take to have a successful marriage? What does a successful marriage look like in your opinion?
In
We'll
my
go down the list, go around over.
in my opinion, successful marriage is solely tied to one, if you're both morally compatible and willing to communicate about that. So even if there is a difference between your morals, right? Like what are you doing to come to terms and move forward with each other? That comes with communication and being open to that level of communication where it's like, okay, agreeing to disagree, but where can we compromise, right? And working through it, problem solving. That's another thing. Like being able to work through your problems because y'all both running away, then typically it's leading back to what you were saying, John, with that separation, that natural separation that occurs, which ultimately leads to, okay, I don't really want to be with this person anymore. Let's go ahead and get a divorce. So communication, morals, and problem solving.
Okay.
I think for me, communication is a desire to be committed. From both parties, a desire to be committed, a desire to definitely to communicate, and I mean I have to kind of agree, and resilient to be resilient. I think, but more important is out of all those things is a desire to want to, like I said before, both parties should want to work on the marriage consistently. Work on the relationship. I don't want to say that, I hate to use the marriage. Want to work on the relationship. As long as you are desire to be committed, and if there's an issue where there is a breakdown in commitment, there's a desire to work on the relationship. That should supersede that. I think that's important, and I think a desire to want to be, like intimate with that person.
I like the fact that you mentioned desire pretty much in that whole thing. I mean, do you love the person? Like, do you desire that person?
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's the deciding factor at the end of the day, right?
Let me add one thing.
Yeah.
Let me add to something to desire. Also, ability. because I think when it comes to, you have to be willing and able. Some people are willing but not able. Some people are able or not willing. You got to be willing and able to do those things. I think if you don't have both parts, I'm willing and able to be committed. I'm willing and able to have effective communication with you. I'm willing and able to overcome challenges with you. You got to have both. And some people for whatever reason they are incapable of they don't possess the ability. The work on themselves wasn't done. They've had so many bad examples.
They don't know how.
Yeah. So at that point they're unable. But there's some people who are very able. They don't want to. So that's dead on arrival.
Got it.
So I would lead with communication. And when we say communication is you have to want to communicate so that your spouse understands, and your point is getting across. Also, the want to understand or comprehend, because you can communicate, but if that person is not trying to understand or comprehend what you're saying, it's really not going to go anywhere. So communication, willing to understand or want, willing and able to understand, the desire to work through any challenge that comes up, faith, having the same faith. You know, you may be at different levels, but some understanding of that faith, and determination. Like, I'm determined to make this work. I'm determined to do what I have to do to make this work.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Okay. So I would say intentionality, being very intentional in your marriage and making sure that you implement or inject those things that need to be injected into your marriage, and be serious about implementing. Implementation is huge in marriage, I feel like. And I feel like we don't put enough weight on that particular
respect
part.
on it.
Yeah, put that respect on it. So, marriage is so many different things. We talked about a lot about marriage over the past 3 weeks or 3 episodes. I'm feeling like that we express to our greatest ability what we feel like marriage looks like, what it should be, and how we can aspire to be better at it, as husbands, as fathers, as spouses. I'm hoping that this particular podcast was really even influential for everyone that listened to it.
And even like exposing challenges and stuff that we go through.
Exactly. Yeah, exposing our challenges. I think that's really valuable and important. You guys can always reach us, and you guys know how to reach us. We'll give that information after Terrence does his Real Talk wrap up right now.
All right. So to begin this, I don't have no jokes this time. Sorry, guys. I actually want to ask you all since it's our closing question about marriage, one quick question, quick statement, like 10 seconds. Give me a statement of why you got married. Let's start with you, Tony.
Oh, I thought you.
No, why you got married?
Because I found a woman that possessed the things that I wanted and I felt that I needed. I loved her compassion, her heart, and I found somebody who I wanted to go through life with.
I located my best friend, someone that I wanted to. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. Like somebody that's really my best friend that showed me values in myself that I needed to work on and was honest with me about it, and that had values that I needed to grow in.
Yeah. I love her. She's a great partner. Like, we work well together. Like, yeah, I love her.
Mm-hmm. I would say the same thing. I think I found somebody who challenged me. That was, and I think again, it was someone who. It's funny saying that doing the romantic things that's not enough. Like, you really she like challenged me. And continued to challenge me to be a better partner. And I thought that was really good. And I would say off the top, and I've always said this, she literally made me a better person, because I had almost no goals like her goals were. Like, and I realized in order to in my mind, it became a competition, and it actually made me literally a better person, period. Even not just a partner, it made me a better person. I asked that because I was doing some research for this to close this out, and the top 5 reasons, according to the Huffington Post, is why people get married. Number 5 was fear of staying single, because crazy cat lady isn't a title that most women want on their personal resume. Number 4 was just he or she would make a good partner. That's why I got married. He would make a good partner. It said, he has a good job, a clean record, an outstanding credit score. She loves kids, he loves kids, and she adores me. So, You know, if I may not, so who cares if I don't love them that much? They're a good partner. You know, number 3, desire to grow up, which is interesting. I knew it was coming. There's a desire to grow up. So how can you be an adult if you've never been married? So everyone knows a ring comes with an upgrade standard of living and a more favorable reputation in the community. So I got married because I wanted to be an adult.
That's interesting.
Number 2, once upon a time, you know, they were in love. So in the beginning, their story was like a fairy tale. Sure, things might have cooled down, but what a better way to jumpstart happily ever after if we don't get married. So, and the number one reason why people get married is it's the next logical step. They've been together for years. They live together. They're a cute couple. So, isn't marriage what you're supposed to do? Now, I'm not saying all these things are great, and all these things aren't important, even our reasons. But I do want to say, like, it shouldn't be a newsflash. Our culture does a horrible job at defining marriage for ourselves, but especially for the uninitiated. So I'm going to say it again. Our culture does a horrible job at defining marriage for married people, but even especially for the uninitiated. Therefore, as the initiated, it is our job to do an abundantly tedious job of refining what marriage is. So I want to give some top misconceptions that we talked about marriage or what it takes to be marriage. So number one misconception is if I marry the right person, everything will be all right. I'm going to say it again. As long as I marry the right person, everything will be all right. That's not accurate. So, and I said this earlier, instead of focusing on finding the right person, ask yourself this: are you working to become the person that the person you are looking for is looking for? If you are married, are you working to becoming the person that the person you were looking for is still looking for? I think it's very important to not focus on the right person, but are you becoming the right person for marriage? Another misconception is that if we are madly in love and have the most passionate romance, we will be great together forever. Here's the problem. Most people confuse chemistry, romance, infatuation with love. Don't get me wrong. There is a definite place for romance in a marriage. I would even say romance or romantic chemistry can keep a marriage vibrant and lively. Here's the problem, though. If you spend all of your time learning and perfecting romance, but zero time learning and perfecting relationships, then you will eventually spend 100% of your marriage arguing over the relationship and zero time in romance. The lack of effective relationship skills kills all romance. I'm saying it again, the lack of an effective relationship can kill all romance. No man will have the desire to cook you breakfast in bed, bring you chocolate strawberries, or even take you spontaneously shopping if you constantly demonstrate that you are easily angered at the stuff he does or continuously bring up all of his wrongdoings. No woman will buy you those new Jordans or cook or bring you lunch or get your car detailed, fellas, if you suck at communicating what time you're coming home and you are constantly unkind to her needs. A sucky relationship kills all romance. Last one I want to drop you off is I can do what I want right now because I'm not married. Once I get married, I can get serious. Once I get engaged, I can start to settle down and get serious. Let me bust that bubble right now. You thought that was true, but in my Maury voice, my marriage and everyone else's marriage determined that was a lie. Let me throw you out another gem from Andy Stanley. The present will be your past, which will eventually be present in your future.
Say that again.
The present will be your past, which will eventually be present in your future. The stuff that you infuse in your current relationships, which includes your demeanor, your expectations, and definitely your sexual appetite, will definitely be dragged into your future marriage. You have to kill some of that stuff right now. So here's the bottom line. If you are getting married or are currently married, it's healthy to surround yourself with wise counsel. The emphasis being wise counsel. So instead of surrounding yourselves with people who are actively invested on being Facebook and Instagram happily married, surround yourself with people who are actively invested on working on their marriage.
Wow.
That's good.
Good stuff.
Good stuff in there. Thank you, Terrence, for the Real Talk wrap up. So we're going to actually have someone on the show next time that has gone through divorce. We're very excited about that particular episode. We're really hoping that you guys spread the word about our podcast and let people know that we're talking about some real topics on here that I think the culture needs to hear. If you're thinking about going through divorce or you're feeling like you may be at a space where you might want to get divorced, I think it's good to know what it looks like if you were to go that route. And not to say like it should be enticing towards you, of course, like, but it's more so to say like, this is what you're saying you want to sign up for, when you say you want to go down that road of divorce. So, we're going to hopefully reveal the good, the bad, the ugly of going down that road of divorce the next time that we meet. So spread the word. Relentlessly Real Podcast. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram under Relentlessly Real Podcast. And also, if you want to submit topics to us, you can submit it to relentlesslyrealpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's relentlesslyrealpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. Thank you, Antonio, for joining us for the past 3 times.
Thank y'all for having me, and I hope y'all have me back.
We definitely going to talk about something with you again.
Even at brunch, bro. Like,
yeah, you already know what it is.
Oh yeah,
you already know what it is. So I got to get to my daughter's birthday party. But you guys, thank you guys so much. My name is John.
My name's Mike.
And I am Terrence.
Thank you for listening to Relentlessly Real Podcast.
Peace.